Allie here with my sidekick Dobby, and today's going to be a little bit different. I am talking about a book that is very, very personal to me because of its topic. So this video is going to be part book review, part honesty. Not gonna lie, I'm kind of nervous. I've never talked about this in like a public space before, so we'll see how this goes. Anyway, I am talking about Let's Talk About Love by Claire Kann. But for the sake of this, the video is really Let's Talk About Asexuality. So for this one, I'm going to kind of be going back and forth between talking about the book and talking about real life. The book, and the reason I'm talking about this, is about a girl named Alice who is a biromantic asexual, and the book starts with her girlfriend breaking up with her because of her asexuality, although at that point in the story she is unable to use the word asexual. She recognizes it in herself, but she only talks about it with the people that she trusts the most in the entire world, her girlfriend not being one of those. Anyway, once her girlfriend breaks up with her, she decides that love just simply isn't for her. But then she meets this guy at work who makes her rethink that, and she starts having a middle school age romance where she has a total crush on this guy and likes him possibly more than she's liked anybody before, although that doesn't change her sexuality. So she also lived with her girlfriend. I think they were roommates before they were dating. But now she is moving in with her two best friends who are engaged to each other. And she kind of feels a little bit like an outsider in that relationship because obviously she's not a part of the romantic side of them, even though they are a group of three most of the time, but not all the time. So there's a lot going on in this book, and there also is some race in it because she is a black individual. That isn't a huge plot point in this, which I think is refreshing, but there are talks about stereotypes and things that are just like not okay. And I think that's pretty much all I can say about the book without getting into spoilers. But before I get into my spoilers about the book, I'm gonna talk about myself a little bit for the first time. I realized my asexuality about 5 years ago. I did not realize that asexuality was a thing. I had been jokingly using the term with some of my best friends for about probably 8 years at that point before I realized that it was an actual classification. And I just knew that I wasn't interested in having sex. And people would always ask me if I was waiting for marriage, and I would say no. I could get married tomorrow and still not want to have sex with my husband. I'm just not interested in it. Yeah, and then when I first heard about asexuality, I'm like, well, like that can't be me because I've had crushes on guys. If they've just been that like school-age crush where I just want to like hold his hand and be together and chat and spend time together and even snuggle, but nothing more. And then I was reading up on it and I found out about romantic asexuals, where you do want that romantic relationship with somebody, just not the sexual one. I feel like on the rare occasion that you do see asexuality in the media and such, it's a romantic asexual where they're not interested in the romantic side either. So I love the fact that this book had a biromantic asexual as the lead. Although obviously there were some differences between her and me. For example, Alice in this is not sex repulsed, which means she is willing to have sex. She has had sex before, several times. It just doesn't do anything for her. I, on the other hand, want to stay far away from that. Yeah, so it was weird. It was really weird to read a book that I connected to the main character at this level, just because I've seen myself in main characters a lot, in a lot of ways, but never in this way. Almost every book I've read recently, especially because I love romance. I'm obsessed with cutesy romance, but every single romance I read, the girl is like taking the guy's clothes off in her head, and I don't connect with that part. This was interesting. It was also a little difficult to read because For example, at the very beginning, I said the book starts with her girlfriend breaking up with her because she's asexual, though not using the word. Hearing a lot of the things that her girlfriend was saying to her as they were broken up, they were things that have been said to me. Or conversations that she was having with her friends when she was trying to explain herself. They were conversations I've had with people. And they're difficult conversations. I mean, at one point, Alice goes to a therapist, which is something I've been considering doing for a couple years now, but I've never done. And I'm sitting there like, wait, is this really what a therapist would be saying to me? One of the things the therapist does tell her, and this isn't really a spoiler, is that because asexuality is not super known, it's going to be on her to be the teacher in any friendship or romantic relationship she attempts to go into. And she's like, that's not fair. And that is also something I've come to see. People don't know about asexuality. I didn't know about asexuality until I did. And I'm going from not knowing about it to having to teach people about it. The other thing that was really hard about this is reading about Alice's fears in a relationship, because her fears are my fears. And I don't know, it was hard. A lot of it was hard. At one point, I actually put the book down and I texted my friend saying, I don't know if I can do this. Because once again, people were telling her the exact things that people have said to me in some of my lowest moments. And I didn't even know if I wanted this book to have a happy ending where she was able to live happily ever after in a relationship with somebody. Because part of me is like, is that realistic that she was able to be with a sexual partner? But I wanted that for her because I want that for myself, but I also almost didn't want it to get my hopes up. Anyway, yeah, so that's me. This book was a lot. I didn't rate it because it's pretty much impossible for me to separate my personal experiences and my personal connection to this book with the actual book, because that was my experience reading it. And I don't think that's a fair rating when something is this close to you for a reason other than the actual story. I don't know what I would rate the actual story aside from what I would just relate my connection to the themes. Anyway, I'm going to get into spoilers now, so if you haven't read the book yet, go check it out and then come back. And please like this video, give me a thumbs up, and please subscribe so that you can see more. If you have read it, stick around. I'll be right back. Alright, let's get into some spoilers. So, Alice meets Takumi and has a physical reaction to the first time she sees him, which I thought was interesting. And I like the fact that even despite the fact that she did have that one physical reaction, she was not immediately like, oh, I want to have sex with him. No. She still was like, no, I'm asexual. I'm not interested in sex. I do find him extremely attractive, and I do have a crush on him, and I do want to spend time with him, but I'm not going to go jump into bed. One thing I do have to say, in reading some reviews where people read earlier copies of this book, it sounds like there was a fair amount of sex originally, and not all of it completely consensual. And I'm really glad that that was taken out, because it sounds like originally there was not quite rape, but borderline rape, but in the end it ended up being okay because they were in love. And no, not okay. So I'm glad that that was removed. I feel like I need to talk mostly about the scene when she asks Takumi out. That was the point in which I put the book down and I didn't know if I could continue. Because the things that he says to her, the fact that she tells him how she feels and asks him out, well, he figures out that she's asking him out, and that part was adorable. But then he's just like, I don't know, because sex is really important to me, and I don't understand how you can show you love somebody without that physical aspect. That part really hit me hard. I've literally had people say those exact words to me multiple times. Tell me that they don't think I really like them because I'm not willing to be physical, or just like he did, they don't understand how the love can be shown with that. And that part was really hard, because a part of me was like, if they can get past that, I don't know if it's realistic. But if they don't get past that, I don't know if I can handle reading this. The other part that was both good and bad was the way they ended up getting past that was that he realized that even though she didn't do all of the touchy-feely stuff, she was able to show her emotions verbally every step of the way. And she was always complimenting him, always telling him how much she cared, which is fair that that's the way they're kind of able to get over that. But that's not me. I'm super honest in a lot of ways about myself. I'm not super honest about the way I feel about other people, especially romantically. And maybe that's just because I've never gotten that comfortable with somebody where I felt like I was able to. It's hard to see that that's what helps them overcome it when that's not a part of who I am. And again, all of her fears about always being alone or being honest with somebody and having them walk away, because oh gosh, all of that was so hard to read, because a lot of the things that she was able to verbalize are things that I've been feeling for years and never able to put into words. Again, in that scene where he's like, well, what would be the difference between what we're doing now and us being in a relationship? And she's like, it would basically be the same, just we'd be in a relationship. Oh, and the fact that at one point they talked about the idea that with some asexuals, dating sexuals, they can be in the relationship and then it's okay with the asexual if the one who has sexual attraction gets that part somewhere else. And Alice was just like, no, that's not me. Yeah, no, not okay. Never okay. One thing I also liked that the book discussed was the fact that, like me, Alice is so obsessed with couples in books and stories getting together, even though she doesn't necessarily want that for herself. And that's one thing that a lot of people, when I've been talking about my asexuality with people, they say, but you always want your favorite couples to kiss. I'm like, yeah, because I know that's what they want in the story. And I want them to be happy with each other. So if they want to kiss, I want them to kiss. If they want to have sex, I want them to have sex. But that's not what I want for myself. And that's the thing. I want the person to be happy with the person they want to be happy with, in whatever way that means. And it's tough. Wow. Okay. I wanted to talk a little bit about the issue with her friends, though that ended up not being as big of a deal in the grand scheme of the book. I also connected with her always feeling like a third wheel. I am consistently a third or fifth or seventh, sometimes ninth wheel in anything I go to. Family events, friend things. I'm in my upper 20s and almost all of my friends are in relationships. And I've been single for 10 years. I know. I have Dobby. Dobby's my date. I don't know. So the ending of this book, I'm glad that they ended up together. I'm glad that they ended up happy. I don't fully know how I feel about it because of my own pessimistic feelings over the past 5 years or so. Yeah, this got really personal, and I knew it would. I do think that everybody in the world needs to read this book. It's great for people that are asexual. It's great for other people in the LGBTQIA community that don't know a lot or understand asexuality, which it seems most people do. It's great for allies that either do or don't fully understand asexuality, which again, most people don't. And I just think that this book is really important. I hope it goes so far in the next year because it's done very well. There's a reason I connected so hard to this book, because it tells the feelings and the story so well, and the fears and the complications and everything. Everybody should read this. And if you haven't yet and you're still watching this, I don't care if I just spoiled a whole bunch of it, read it anyway. It's so real. Big thank you to Kate, who was the first person to mention the existence of this book to me, and Flo, who got me an arc of it. I love both of you so much, as you know, and I'm excited to see what everybody else thinks about this. If you connect with it like I do, please let me know. I really want to hear from you. If you don't, but you learned a lot from it, also please let me know. I really want to hear from you too. If you just have anything else to say that's kind, let me know. I really want to hear from you. Please leave comments below. I really want to interact about this book. I have so much to talk about. If I forgot to talk about something with like her best friends or her family, there were other issues, but I'm kind of focused on the asexuality part for obvious reasons. Please, I'm happy to get into conversations in the comments or on Twitter or wherever. Let me know. Please follow me on Twitter at ReaderGonnaRead. Subscribe by clicking below or up there, and I will talk to you next time. Goodbye! Hey, Ellie and Dobby here. Like the video? Come subscribe. Do it right now. Click it.